Some of you guys might have seen this IFL interview right here. This Dereck Chisora, David Haye and Joyce IFL interview. Now, in this video, Chisora was talking about the fact that David Haye had offered him 60 grand to fight Joyce. And Dereck kind of scoffed at that offer. He said it's not a serious offer and he wants David Haye to come with something better. And David Haye said he'd give him a better offer if he agrees to take on Joyce on the undercard of Haye's fight against Bellew, the rematch. So we'll see what happens there. After David Haye and Joyce departed, Del Boy was very skeptical about whether David Haye is going to give him a better offer. So we'll see. Del Boy still seems to think he's worth way more than 60 grand at this point for a fight. To take on a guy in his, what, second or third pro fight? Because I think Joyce is going to fight soon. And then he's going to take on, hopefully, Dereck Chisora. So, yeah, Del Boy thinks he's worth a lot more than that. I'm not so sure that he is. How many losses has Dereck Chisora got now? Yeah, he's a name in the UK because he's a tough guy. But in terms of his wins, who's Dereck Chisora actually beat? He lost to Robert Helenius. He lost to Vasily Klitschko. He lost to David Haye. He lost to Kubrat Pulev. He lost to Tyson Fury twice. He lost to Dillian Whyte. He lost to Ajit Kabayel. I mean, I know a couple of the losses were contentious, but, you know, the Ajit Kabayel loss, come on, people. That's the last time he was in the ring. And you're telling me this guy's worth hundreds of grands for a fight? I don't see it. I think Dereck Chisora at this point thinks he's worth far more than is realistic. So 60 grand, he might not want to take it, but I can't hate on David Haye for that type of offer. David Haye sees Dereck Chisora as just a gatekeeper at this point. That's why he's willing to put his guy in with Chisora so soon. And if the fight were to happen, and I hope it does, I hope they pay Dereck whatever he wants for the fight, you know, as long as it's financially viable in terms of the show. I hope the fight happens, and if it does, I'll be picking Joyce all day. I've seen some people say Dereck can win the fight, this, that, and the other. I don't think he can win the fight. I don't see it. If Ajit Kabayel just outboxed him, why is Joyce not going to outbox him? Joyce has been sparring with Joshua for years. Joyce was in the World Series of Boxing against some of the best fighters in the world. He was in the Olympics. A lot of people felt like he should have won gold in the Olympic final. When he was an amateur, he was a come forward, very basic, robotic pressure fighter, Joyce. But in his fight with Ian Lewis in his pro debut, he showed a lot of movement in that fight. And I think that's something that David Haye and Ismail Salas have introduced into his game. And even though it looks ugly as hell, the way Joyce fights, he's very ungainly and uncoordinated looking. That kind of movement would bother Dereck Chisora. I've got no doubt in my mind about it. And that's how he would fight Dereck Chisora. I don't see him marching forward like he did against Tony Yoka in the Olympic final. No, I see him using his legs just like he did against Ian Lewison. Why wouldn't he? Think about it. The brains behind Joyce at the moment in terms of formulating strategies are David Haye and Ismail Salas. They saw Dereck Chisora lose to Ajit Kabayel in his last fight. And Kabayel was moving. Why wouldn't they have Joyce fight the same strategy? They will. And it's going to be effective and it'll be enough to beat Dereck Chisora. That's what I believe. And I know Dereck Chisora can pull out a good performance once in a blue moon. But I think he needs a grudge match in order to pull out a good performance. He needs a fight that's going to get his blood boiling. That's going to get his heart rate going. And I don't see Joyce as being that guy. I'll be surprised. And if the fight gets made, I think it will be a mistake on David Haye or Joyce's behalf to actually agitate Dereck Chisora and get him riled up, because that will motivate him to be in better condition than to fight harder. I think they should keep it clinical, keep it respectful, and, you know, not have any antics involved or not have any real trash talk involved. Keep Dereck Chisora calm, and it should be an easy fight. Just like the Bellew fight was relatively easy for him when he fought Chisora. So, yeah, Chisora can talk about lowball offers all he wants, but look at his resume, people. Who's the guy beat? He's coming off a loss. Why is he worth so much money? If that's what you believe, why? How can you justify it? I can't blame David Haye for offering him 60 grand to fight a guy in his second pro fight. I can't blame him. How many other guys would get 60 grand for fighting a guy in his second pro fight? When you put it in context, it's not a shocking thing for David Haye to do. It's a negotiation at the end of the day. Dereck Chisora don't have to accept it. So we'll see what happens if David Haye makes another offer. Del Boy's very skeptical, but, you know, time will tell. I hope it takes place. It'll be a good shout for the undercard of Haye Bellew 2. And if Joyce won the fight, and I believe he definitely would, it would really catapult him to the forefront of the British heavyweight scene. He'd be right up there with Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman in terms of hot prospects, because at the moment there's not as many people talking about Joyce as there is, certainly not as many people talking about him as there is about Daniel Dubois. He's getting way more hype than Joyce at this point, despite the fact Joyce is an Olympian and Daniel Dubois isn't. So yeah, a win over Chisora, that would definitely help. It will be on it will be on Dave or Channel 5, one of the two. There'll be a lot of viewers. The casual fans know Del Boy, so that would be a good move. It's a good move by Haymaker to try and make the fight, and it would be a good win for Joyce in terms of boosting his profile. So we'll see what happens here, people. If you agree with me or whether you disagree with me, drop your comments in the comment section below and let me know how you feel. All right, it's Hatman, I'm out.